How did I meet Alex?
Say that again, Alex.
Stop wasting time.
Right, I'm ready.
So, Alex, can you tell us about the story of you and my grandma?
Where do I start?
Start right from the beginning.
Let's go back 65 years. Tel Aviv, Israel, when I first was introduced to a lovely young girl by the name of Marjorie Alexander.
I went to Israel when I was about 21, and we had relatives in common on different sides of the family. And it was only a tiny flat, but we both used to go there for a little bit of a break at the weekend. From the start, he was just very easy to like, and I felt very comfortable. We didn't see each other often, but we were very good friends.
We managed to get together. Of course, the difficulty was that she was busy running around chasing after boys in Tel Aviv, whereas I was living in Haifa. Anyhow, every now and then we met, and we liked each other very much. We were very attached to each other. She came to see me once in Haifa. I came to Tel Aviv mainly. In fact, some sort of a miniature love affair started.
He said we stole a little kiss or two, but I can't even remember that. But he insists we did.
Of course we had kissed her. I'm not telling any more, but we certainly have kissed her. I don't want to add to it, but we certainly kissed. I can add, we kissed even more. I can add something else, huh?
Be careful.
We kissed even more.
I just remember a very affectionate feeling. That's all I remember. And just feeling enveloped by this lovely affection.
We didn't know how it was going to end.
He was just very easy. He wasn't self-conscious at all.
Grandma, you can tell her the experience of when you came to Haifa, when a certain thing happened. You two ladies can talk about it amongst yourself.
I needed to buy something desperately. It was very feminine and personal, and he was so adult about it and so grown up and so matter of fact, and he was determined that I should find what I wanted. Everywhere was closed. We went from place to place to place, and all the time I must say I was liking him more and more, because I thought, how very sweet of him to do this. And eventually we found what I needed.
This Marjorie Alexander, for one reason or another, she decided to leave the country and go back to miserable Britain. Why she did that, I don't know.
I found it quite hard in Jerusalem. Jerusalem's quite at the time I thought it was quite a cold sort of city. People are more don't know what they're like now, more private, and I never quite settled on a home there. I seemed to be moving from place to place, and when I was happy I was ecstatic. When I was miserable, I was in the depths, absolutely. I seemed always to have friends, but they were transitory in a way, maybe because I felt like that as much as anything. I didn't have a sort of proper rock to depend on, and I think I started to get nervous of being there. You needed family, or you needed a partner, or you needed some sort of proper base, and I wasn't for committing myself. Opportunities there were, but I was frightened of taking that step. And the last place I stayed at was in a flat with two rather crotchety old ladies, I don't think they much liked my youth. And eventually, after moving from place to place, I thought maybe I should consider going back home to England, and I was pig sick with myself because I felt I'd been beaten and I didn't want to go back, but I was too cowardly to stay.
I knew what time the flight was going to take off, and suddenly this very, very strong urge came over me. I have to take a taxi immediately, go to the airport and drag her back and don't let her go.
When he heard I was leaving Israel, he had an absolute urgent desire to rush to the airport and say, no, don't go back, don't go back.
But that did not happen.
And even if he'd said it, I would have still gone back.
So now we have to advance a few years again. I was a member of the British Settlers Association in Israel, who had organized a special Pesach trip to England, and we were traveling fourth class. Before I boarded the ship, I sent a letter to one Marjorie Alexander in Manchester, and I told her I'm finally coming to Britain 5 years after you left Israel, and we shall see how and what we can do, how we can manage, what we shall manage to do together in order to whatever. I'm not telling you what.
He specially wanted to come in order to come to Manchester.
Anyhow, that was my intention. I wrote this letter to Marjorie Alexander. I'm coming, and let fate take its course.
And I said, fine. I mean, my life had moved on by then, and I wasn't, I would have been very pleased to see him, but he wasn't like the love of my heart or anything. He travelled by sea, which always took a long time, and I suppose I was expecting him, but, life hadn't stopped because he was coming. I was pleased at the thought, but it wasn't the beginning and end of everything.
However, fate took another course.
I received a letter from him to say it was a letter of apology.
On board ship, I met a young lady by the name of Betty.
And on the boat coming over,
Nature will take its course, and I fell in love with Betty. We were only together 4 days, I'm not mentioning the nights, until we got to Marseille. Then we took a train from Marseille. We took the ferry to Dover, I think. From there, we took the train to London, where my friend who was going to host me came to the station to meet me. And I had with me a young lady called Betty Schulman at the time. And Betty Schulman was intending to go home to her family in Glasgow, but she only had a train at midnight. So my good friend Edu said, why don't we take Betty home with us, and at midnight we'll take her to the station to put her on the train to Bonnie Glasgow. Do you know what Bonnie Glasgow is? I belong to Glasgow, hear old Glasgow tune. What's the matter with Glasgow tune? It's turning round and round. I'm an ordinary working laddie, as anyone here can see. But when I've had a couple of raps on a Saturday, Glasgow belongs to me. Anyhow, before we took Betty to the station, very cleverly she phoned her family in Glasgow and told her where she was and with whom she came, and she met a new friend called Alex Potok. The family said, why don't you bring him with you to Glasgow? Well, I was intending to go to Manchester. I decided to do it, and I went to the railway station. I took a ticket.
the family said, if you're planning to get married, do it here.
3 weeks later, Betty and I got married in Glasgow.
So he wrote to me with great apologies that this had occurred, and I accepted it. I would have loved to have seen him, but I wasn't heartbroken. I hadn't sort of thought my life was going to change because he was coming, because I'm very slow at making decisions anyway. I would have told him since that in no way, if he'd come to Manchester and wanted to marry me, I wouldn't have just dropped everything and gone off to Israel. I'm not made that way.
And we came back to Israel, and we got a flat in Kibon here, where I'm staying now, where we have 2 daughters.
The years passed and passed and passed. I must have married 2 or 3 years after, and I heard nothing after that. I didn't really think about him much. When I looked at the photographs and looked at him, I used to get a smile on my face and think, oh, he was nice. But I didn't, my heart wasn't beating like that. But I used to think with great affection about him. And that was it for 60-something years. And then, nearly 2 years ago, one Saturday afternoon in February, the phone rang.
2 years ago, Betty passed away. My cousin Meira phoned me, and she asked me how I was getting on after Betty had passed away. And I told her, and I asked her, how are all your relatives in Manchester? Are they still alive? She says, no, they're all gone. I only know that Marjorie is still alive.
Saturday is very precious to me. That is my real day of rest. I don't like many intrusions. I like it to be a day for myself. I thought, who the heck is ringing me?
A quarter of an hour after Meira told me that Marjorie is still around, I didn't know, was she married, not married, I had no idea whatsoever. Anyhow, by means of the internet, international telephone numbers, I phoned one M. Hattenstone in Manchester, yeah? And M. Hattenstone answered.
This voice got on the phone with a German accent. I thought, oh, what on earth is he trying to sell me?
And Alex told her that he's a member of an international intelligence agency looking for one Marjorie Hattenstone. So she said, if you don't tell me who you are, I'm going to put the phone down.
And I think he said, this is a surprise. And I remember answering, I don't like surprises.
I said, stay online. Does the name Alexander mean anything to you?
And then he said, do you remember the name Alexander?
She says, yes. After all, Alexander was her name. But there was another Alexander, so I said, do you remember any Alex?
And all of a sudden it clicked. The voice and Alexander. He was an Alex.
The tone changes, and she said, Alex? No, hello, Alex. Alex? You notice the difference?
I said, Alex! Is it Alex? And I was delighted. I really was. I felt as though, well, it was like an old friend coming back to roost. I was really hyped up.
And that was the beginning of our long love for 2 years now, nearly.
So began a glorious friendship with a lot of love in it. Not, obviously, not physical love, A, because of our age, A, because we're divided by an ocean, but a lot of affection.
It really is a love affair which you publish it. It'll do away with Romeo and Juliet. They'll forget all about that, and everybody will be talking about Alex and Marjorie.
And he taught me how to Skype. And we started to Skype, and the conversations became longer and longer, and we really got to know each other very, very well. And I suppose at this stage of life you can be very lonely. You think you don't realise you're lonely because you've got plenty to do, but you are lonely. And you may have family, but they've got their lives, and it's lovely to have somebody of your own. I perhaps would have gone over to Israel a year ago if he'd wanted me to, but he's a very sensible man, I think more sensible than I am. And he said it wouldn't work. If I went there for a short time and we found that we liked each other as much as we appeared to do on Skype, then breaking up would be horrible. Going back, he wouldn't have come here and I wouldn't have wanted him to. He wouldn't have liked England, but I could have liked it there. But it was too late, too late. He'd had a good marriage. He'd nursed his wife through illness and seen her deteriorate, and I'd nursed my husband through illness and seen him deteriorate. And he said nobody really wants to go through that again, and we would have been done because things start happening to the body or the mind. So we have developed a lovely, affectionate and fulfilling relationship through, God bless it, Skype. And I think we depend on each other a lot. And when something happens, I always want to tell him. I think about him not quite a lot. And I think he does of me. He's very uninhibited, and I probably was inhibited, and where I could call you my grandchildren, I could even call a dog darling, but I didn't call adult men darling. Well, he's taught me to say darling. He hasn't got inhibitions, and I think he's taught me to lose a lot of mine. There we are. That's an old woman's love story.
Darling, the main thing is when I see you on Skype, you look lovely, even if I don't have a picture. You look lovely.